Hi, I'm Brooke, a carnivore coach with MeatRx. And today I'm happy to be here with Michael, who's going to share with us his carnivore journey on how he's doing with the carnivore diet. Hi, Michael, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really great to have you. And thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm really curious, anxious to know what brought you to the carnivore diet.
Well, I guess you could say it's a long story, but I'll try to keep it brief. I have a history of cutting weight for jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and MMA. So fighters usually are very in tune with their diet and, trying to always tweak it to find the best diet. So I did keto for about 5 years, had very little pain or inflammation that used to bother me from jiu-jitsu. And then I saw Sean Baker on Joe Rogan when I used to watch him religiously. And at first I was like, oh my God, this is the dumbest diet ever. Who would eat only meat? And I can't even tell you what happened next. The next thing I know, I'm here and I've been carnivore for about a year now.
So
And
what,
all the little pains that I had that keto didn't totally get rid of, gone with carnivore.
so was it the interview on Joe Rogan show?
Yeah, I don't know if it was the first one. Yeah, I believe it was yeah, I rewatched it and then decided to give it a shot.
So was it hard for you to implement the diet?
Not at all. Where my parents live in the East Coast, my father and my brother are big hunters. So we have a deep freezer filled with venison, and there's no vegans in my family. So it was quite an easy transition.
Nice. So you just started to just say goodbye to plant
Yep.
foods.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
how did that feel?
It was kind of odd at first because I used to always make just huge meals of vegetables, very little carbs, maybe like tomatoes or avocados, and then meat. And then cutting out the vegetables, the plate seemed kind of like naked, and I was like, I don't know, I'm probably going to be missing some sort of nutrients. But then the more I read up on it and but the science behind it, it all made sense because as a child, I never really liked vegetables. And the analogy I like to say is, you don't have to teach a baby tiger to eat meat. And just all these things started to click. Like the instinct that children don't like vegetables. We're probably not really designed to process them that well. So things started adding up, and it was quite easy after that.
So you were keto for a few years, so you were fat adapted already.
Yes. Yep.
And were you a meat-based keto or what, or were you eating lots of fat bombs and heaps of greens?
I guess I had greens in my diet, but I definitely didn't do any of those like keto. There's a million ways to do keto. I wasn't doing I call it the carb keto, where you're trying to like mimic a carb diet. Like, oh, these are keto cookies. I didn't have any of that stuff, but I did have oils. I would top off my food with, you know, um, organic olive oil, uncooked, and coconut oil, and that was probably, I think, mostly meat and some oils, not too many nuts, and light on the vegetables, even when I did keto.
So I'm curious then, before you started carnivore, you say you were having inflammation from, or what
Hmm.
was that was the main kind of thing that you were feeling that you wanted to
Yeah,
change?
I tweaked something in my upper back, throwing like a 10% jab when I was about 18 years old, and I pulled something in my hip flexor at around the same time, and it would disappear, and then maybe I had one workout where I pushed it a little too hard. An hour or two later, getting that throbbing pain again, and nothing I did seemed to fix it. I've been a personal trainer for 10 years. I do a lot of rehab. I'm big into functional range conditioning and a lot of neurological work, and helped tremendously, but it was not 100% better until I switched to carnivore.
And how soon did you notice the difference with inflammation and stuff?
Probably about 3 days.
Aha.
Hmm.
And digestion and I don't know. I just remember that when I stopped eating plants, all of a sudden there wasn't any bloating anymore, so that was cool.
Yep, absolutely.
And did you ever have any doubts or trouble with implementing the diet or?
No, it was actually really easy for me. I'm used to being like the odd one out always. My parents are like, only meat. I'm like, yeah, don't worry. They're like, whatever. That's Mike. He's crazy. Like, let him do what he wants. Because everyone thinks like he'll probably eventually bring vegetables or nuts or whatever back into the diet. But we've been going strong about a year.
Good for you. So what do you eat? What's your daily routine usually, or
My
what's
daily
your
routine.
regular kind of thing to eat when you start eating and what you eat?
I would say I have breakfast probably once every 2 weeks if I really have the craving to do it. But I'm big into fasting. I'm actually on a fast right now. I'm trying to go for 10 days. So only water for me. But yeah, I usually intermittent fast till about 1 p.m. or 1:30. And then I'll have either ribeye or I don't do, I like ground beef if it's in a burger, but I treat myself. I go with either ribeyes, short ribs, sirloin, usually cycle between those. And then for dinner, I'll have usually a different cut. And then I like to load up with butter. And then we save the bones. My girlfriend's on carnivore too. She's been doing it for about a year as well. She has more of a change than I do. But we make bone broth and tallow. So we reuse everything. And then I have liver about once every 10 days, to be totally honest. And that's pretty much it. I'll have eggs every now and then, but keep it red meat.
Do you use dairy?
I do. I love butter. Here in Arizona, we have the privilege of having legal raw milk and kefir. So every now and then I'll have dairy, but I don't really have a craving for it. I just love butter. I'm big into butter and pink salt. That's pretty much my toppings.
Did you say that you're on a 10-day fast right now? Did I hear you
Yeah.
say that?
Oh, well, this is day one. The most I've ever did was 8, and with the whole quarantine, I'm like, it's perfect time to fast because I'm stuck at home doing naturopathic med school from my computer, so might as well do it. Kill two birds with one stone.
So that 8-day fast that you were on, so what was that like? Tell us about that.
Um, well, I've built it up. I've done like a 2, a 3, a 5, and I worked it up to an 8-day. It fluctuates. There's some days we have crazy energy. You feel like you have no lactic acid in your muscles. You could just crank out reps of anything. You just feel like very loose and limber. And then you have, like nightmares. It's like a whole cleansing process. So, I don't sleep much when I fast because I have too much energy. And so I'll sleep like 4 or 5 hours, but have weird dreams. But yeah, I'm going for 10 days. We'll see what happens.
Well, that sounds ambitious and a great step, great experiment.
Yep.
I'm curious, do you feel like you lose any lean body mass when you fast for that long?
I definitely, on my 8-day that I did, I lost 7 pounds, but you feel a little skinny. You feel like super lean. I like to have a balanced body. I don't want to be the biggest steroid dude, and I also don't want to be like a super skinny guy. I like to be like almost like I do a lot of gymnastics, so that type of functional, full circle, view on fitness. But you definitely lean out a little bit, but it comes back once you start eating food again, maybe a couple days. But so you'll go down maybe 8 pounds and then put back on maybe like 3. But yeah, if you run at a low body fat percentage, there minimal changes.
And how often do you do these long fasts? Like once a month or?
I don't really have a schedule. Usually, sometimes when I feel I kind of regulate, and if I feel like I'm slacking off, yeah, being stuck in the house doing school all day, I like to train as much as possible. I work in a gym on the side, and now that I'm not in the gym, I'm inevitably going to be just putting a little bit of less effort in my training. So I figured now's the time, maybe trim a little fat. And I haven't done one in a couple months, but yeah, maybe a few a year, a few long ones a year.
Sounds good. So it sounds like you've been Since you've been fat adapted for several, like probably 5 years or something by now, that so the fasting's probably pretty easy for you to do, I would guess.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's easy. You have your, I wouldn't call them cravings, but your sense of smell becomes like very heightened, and that kind of messes with you a little bit because you smell everything. It could be like anything. It could be the neighbor's house. You smell it. It's fascinating.
So do you use more salts or some electrolytes during that fasting?
It's funny you said that. My girlfriend actually just bought me like a little bottle of like electrolytes. I've done a little bit of both. I've done where I did it with black coffee. I've done where I did it with a little apple cider vinegar and then Himalayan salt. I usually just go by feel, and if I feel like I'm missing something, I'll definitely add some salt or chloride or something to it.
And do you work out less then when you're fasting?
Yes, I go in and out between having high energy and low energy when I fast. So when I have high energy, it's like I have to work out. It feels like you're on drugs or something. You just fly. Well, a couple of my friends do it as well. They feel the same way. You just get crazy energy bursts, and you got to use it.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, how do you break that long fast?
I've broken it multiple ways. At first, I would read that you want to start with something light, as in like fruit juice or vegetable juice or something, or like bone broth to, I guess, awaken the digestive system. But the one thing I didn't understand, especially coming from like a keto or carnivore background, is if the whole point of the fast is to go into a ketogenic or super ketogenic state and you're fat adapted, why would you break it with fruit? It just didn't make sense to me. So I like to do the extremes. So now I break them with ribeyes.
Just start off with the ribeye.
Yep, I go right in, and I don't really notice a difference.
Great, sounds great. Do you do you ever tune into the MeatRx meetings, or are you using them for support or anything like that?
I am guilty. I have not been. I am super busy with my life. I barely have any hours in the day. I know they're usually on Saturday mornings. I work at a gym Saturday mornings. Usually have about 7 clients, but I definitely want to start it up now that I have more free time.
Well, actually, there's meetings every day. There's all kinds of different meetings you could just sort of tune in. And
All right, even better.
During this time of house arrest, should we call it house? It's been a good time that people have been sort of connecting in on MeatRx on that time. Well, so it sounds like the diet was pretty relatively easy for you, actually, and gave you some, real physical kinds of returns. I'm wondering if there's any other anything else you've noticed of improvement besides obvious inflammation and recovery.
Absolutely. Throughout my entire, I like to say I'm very disciplined, but my one issue ever since I was a child was waking up. I would hit the snooze alarm like 8 times. Now that I'm on carnivore, I barely even use an alarm. I use it if I really, as backup in case it's an exam I don't want to miss or something. But now it's like clockwork. I just wake up at around, maybe a half hour window, just automatically. And when I'm up, I'm up. I don't need naps during the day, which I used to nap heavily. I'm ready to go. I got energy all day. I don't think about energy. When I was on keto, I would think about, did I have my meal? I'm going to be training jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and then maybe I might lift after, or vice versa. Maybe I should eat a little something. Now it's not even a thought. I know that I'm either going to burn what I have on me, or it makes it more passive. I'm not thinking about food as much.
That's great. So it sounds like inflammation and recovery, and your sleep's better. Are you a better fighter?
I've been out of the game a bit, but you know what? I'll tell you one thing. I notice, I feel, I don't know if this scientific way of describing this, whatever, but I feel like I have less lactic acid buildup. When I'm training, when I used to have carbs or something, I would only have X amount of time where I can go all out and feel tight and like my muscles were burning. now I could feel like I could roll jujitsu for like 3 hours straight and be fine. You know? But yeah, I'm in naturopathic medical school right now, so I'm trying to fix people now instead of break them. But
So your energy is like more resilient or consistent or something?
yeah, I definitely increased my muscular endurance.
That sounds
Yep.
good. So, what would you what would you tell someone on the street who was like saying, "Ah, I'm thinking about going on this crazy animal food diet"?
What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many crazy diets. Like, oh, I need to lose 2 pounds. I'm gonna just drink lemon juice for like 14 days. The way I see it is, no one's ever died of starvation from meat. Like, there's vegans that they've been vegans for actually. A quick story. I had a vegan client that they gave me. I usually like to like select clientele because I only have limited time because I'm in school. And they gave me. They asked me if I wanted to train this older lady, and I said, yeah, sure. She's been a vegan for I think over 30 years. No joke. I'm smiling when I'm saying this, but she's. They gave her to me. I had to like help her up from a squat. She's emaciated. I tried to bring it up a little bit without telling her, oh my God, like you're really unhealthy, blah blah blah. Doesn't. She's a professor. She's a little crazy and just doesn't care. It's sad to say she's in her 50s. She looks like she's close to 75. And I've never seen that with anyone on keto or a meat-based diet. If you can look at Sean Baker, you know, he's shredded, in great shape. What do you have to lose? You know?
It's really sad to see that situation. I know what you mean. And especially as people get older, I like to remind them that, the main, I've said this so many times, the main currency besides cold cash is lean body mass and bone density. And you're only going to get that with animal food, really.
Well, what did that vegan diet say? He doesn't care about muscle. He cares about longevity.
Yeah, that's what's so crazy because it really
Makes a lot of
takes a lot of muscle for longevity. It has that metabolic function muscle.
He
Yeah,
might not read anything other than plant websites or whatever.
yeah. Well, it's really great that you started on the carnivore diet and the keto diet, and then the
Mm-hmm.
carnivore diet when you're really young, and with the profession that you're going into, you have opportunity to really help people with that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Well,
it's definitely an uphill battle in the whole naturopathic side. There's a lot of hippies, and they're all into. I have to keep my mouth shut in school because a lot of these teachers, the first thing they tell you, like, oh, this guy's inflammation. Well, we put him on a plant-based diet, and this improves and everything. I'm like, well, yeah, if you ate Oreos and then you go vegetarian, you're probably gonna be a little bit healthier. But they don't understand. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut until it's time for clinicals and when I start to see patients, and then time to take off.
so even with naturopathic medicine, the schooling is still, you know, rainbow diet, plant food all the way.
I have to say, they really talk highly of fat. They talk down on the whole in the 80s and stuff. They were saying like even before that, sugar is the devil, or I'm sorry, fat is the devil. So they just started making these processed carbohydrate thing. Oh, fat free, but it's all chemicals. So they do. There's a lot of professors that. Even my biochemistry professor, she actually backed up the carnivore diet. I told her what I was on, and I sent her the website because she was interested. She was a little overweight. She's an older woman. And I asked her, I was confirming things. I said, is it true that glucose competes with a bunch of transporters and for receptors? And she's like, oh, yes, glucose competes with everything. I was like, whatsoever, right? Oh, no. She's like, it's one of the most regulated things. You can make all the glucose you want. And I told her about the carnivore diet. I sent her the MeatRx page. So we'll see if she follows through.
Oh, that's great. So you're making some inroads with your teachers, your professors. And did you say that they're keen on understanding fat, like Western A. Price, kind of
Yeah,
on the importance of animal fat?
absolutely. We have speakers from my classes every week. We have a new doctor that comes in and tells you practice philosophies. Most of them are, I would say, 95% of them speak very highly of fat and they talk about a lot of these amino acids that you're only going to be getting with animal products, and they speak specifically on the dangers of vegan diet. But a lot of students are vegans, so there's that.
Yeah, so that's kind of a little bit of a dichotomy there, but at least they're espousing good animal fats. So,
Absolutely. Yep.
right.
It's all about quality and looking at the person as an entire person. Not talking against meat, because all meat is not the same. You can have a nitrite, chemical ridden meat, or grass fed, local pasture raised, stuff like that.
Well, it sounds like the diet's been working for you, and I'm glad your partner, your girlfriend's doing that too. That's great.
Yep.
It makes for a happy household that both people are eating that way.
She has a better story than I do. You should interview her.
Okay.
I'll tell you a quick one about her. She was getting like hormonal acne around her chin, and we tried everything. She tried I forget the doctor. He has like a vegan diet for acne. Didn't work. Her blood type was A positive, and they were saying, A positive should be vegetarian, very limited red meat, yada yada yada. I'm O positive, supposed to eat a lot of meat. She goes on carnivore, face is completely clean. So
Good deal. Good
Yep.
story.
Yep.
Love to hear it. It's great. Yeah, that's nice. You have someone to eat your steaks together with.
Get someone to cook for me.
Very, very fortunate. So it
Yeah.
sounds like a win-win-win.
Oh yeah. No, life is good. Life is good.
Well, thanks again for all your positive statements about the way that you're eating, and you found a good way to help people, and that's really great. And I think your story helps people too. So thanks, and I hope I get to meet you someday.
Likewise. And real quick, I just want to show my shirt. 100% not vegan.
Nice. I like it. I like that flash.
Wear that one at the gym. Get some stairs. Spread the word.
Very good. Well, thanks again. And
Thank you.
I'll see. Carney on.
You got it.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.